Stella, how are you?
I'm doing quite well, preparing for the holidays.
Excellent. How's the US? I hope it's not too cold.
It's a little chilly. Yes, it's a little chilly. What about Nigeria?
Nigeria is warm,
Okay.
very warm, and we're happy. We're okay. We don't think it's going to snow this year.
It's very cold here, Pastor.
Sorry?
It's cold here, Mrs. Adetula ló ń sọ̀rọ̀ o. Òtútù mú o.
Ọlọ́run á máa yí dá sí i. Bóyá kẹ́ mọ àgbo díẹ̀.
Ah,
All right. Excellent. She's our guest on the line. I think I see her. Are we ready? Right. Warm greetings and welcome to today's African Leadership Group, the Nigerian Leadership Series conversation. And we do have a very interesting guest tonight. Very important personality. I've known her for years and ages in the streets of Lagos. Our guest today had degrees in diplomas in business management, aesthetics, counseling, and human resources management. A mother of 4 with many grandchildren, cousins to the great Ransom Kuti dynasty.
This meeting is being recorded.
Olikoye, Fela Beko, Wole Soyinka, granddaughter of the late Canon J.J. Ransom Kuti, and only child of the late Azariah and Folorunso Ransom Kuti, and currently the head of the Ransom Kuti family. She saw her career working in multinationals, ministries, broadcasting stations, international organizations, marketer, newscaster, producer, chief executive, director general, consultant, and now works. The organizations she worked for included Shell Nigeria, now Conoil, Institute of International Affairs, National AIDS STD Control Program, Federal Ministry of Health, Social Services, Western Nigerian Television Station, WNTV, Western Nigerian Broadcasting Station, WNBS, IITA, BBC London, the World Bank, to mention but a few. Also an entrepreneur, Ransom Properties Nigeria Limited, consultant, World Bank, trustees to many civil organizations, loves emancipating the less privileged, and continues to motivate herself with voluntary works, mentors, and donates to many organizations such as the Seroptomists, Campaign for Democracy, Committee for the Defense of Human Rights, United Action for Democracy, Girl Watch, Sickle Cell Club, Cosmopolitan Women's Club, Nigerian Network of NGOs, Ati Bebe Law. She's been an advocate for good governance for a long time and for an equitable society. Please welcome with me, Miss Yemisi Olutola Ransom Kuti. My dear sister, you're most welcome. Give us a shout out if you're on the platform. Is she on the platform?
I'm here. It seems like my screen is muted. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Can somebody start my video, because I seem to have lost control here.
No, you should be able to start your video.
You can start it by yourself now.
I know, but for some reason, unless I
just press that video button.
I know, but unless I leave and come back, it appears my screen is frozen. So can I check out and log in again?
No problem.
That would be.
We'll wait for you.
If you can try it now. Okay.
Okay, there you go. There you go. I see you.
Can you see me clearly?
I can see you now. Great. Yeah, welcome.
Right. It's my
So,
pleasure to
thank
be
you.
with
We are going to be talking today on the role of civil society organizations in moving Nigeria to the next level. So let me take you up on what is the next level that Nigeria should be moving to.
Well, thank you, Pastor Ighodalo, dear brother, who continues to make me proud, particularly with the initiative, ALG initiative that you have. I want to go through the scenario of where we were, who we are, before I can take you to the next level. Is that okay?
Fine.
All right. I was very pleased when I saw auntie on the flyer, because your favorite auntie is one you go to when mom and dad are being a bit difficult and you trust someone to explain everything, at least give you a hug, make you feel better. So everybody should let me know whether you feel better after the program. Now, I love this series together that you put together. We have to come together to solve the humongous challenges facing Nigeria. And to do that, we must all confess and take collective responsibility for our lackluster pace of development and the rot we're in, and stop the blame game, pointing fingers. There are no saints down here. We have all failed in spite of the huge financial and material resources expended to date. Thankfully, we have you, Pastor Ighodalo, here to please give us absolution. So that we can start on a clean slate. Nigeria and Africa is bleeding, disconnected, and at the tipping end of an abyss. The statistics are self-explanatory. So let's look at each other as brothers and sisters inside the same hot pepper soup. Rich, poor, male, female, young, old, we're all hurting one way or the other. And together is the only way to dig ourselves out of the deep hole we're in. And make no mistake, we're at a pivotal point in our history. And we have two choices: join hands to reverse the downward trajectory, or face disintegration and chaos. We had a taste and a forewarning during the EndSARS debacle. The teeming youth of Nigeria will not wait forever for the realization of their dreams. Africa is the cradle of mankind. The first human beings evolved here before migrating to Europe and other continents. We should be leading the world instead of playing Mr. Follow and hobbling along as we're doing. We therefore need to have a serious conversation about the kind of democratic system we want in view of our history, complexities, and patriarchal culture, keeping the global dynamics and impact in view. We have to ask, do we practice democracy in our homes? Are we Democrats? So I'm going to first of all define CSOs, which are any organization that's not government and carries out activities that are not for profit. Professional institutions, ICANN, NBA, private sector organizations, Lagos Chamber of Commerce, IOD, labor unions, artisans, religious media cooperatives, and most Nigerians, whether in the public or private sector or international donor community, belong to one CSO group or the other, and should use these platforms to advocate on pressing national issues. Now, civil servants or elected officers can also use the platform of their professional bodies, religious organizations, or social clubs to promote matters of local and national importance. Many NGOs are focused on development issues, SDGs, health, education, blah, blah, youth, skills acquisition, security, financial literacy, good governance. But belonging to a CSO is a calling, born of passion, not profit, with a focus on contributing to serving your nation and humanity. The earliest prominent CSOs were the nationalists, and we cannot forget the CSOs who campaigned and fought for our democracy. Now, I've asked Jumoke to share the CSO pyramid. She had put it up earlier on. Please put it back on again. So this helps us understand where the structure of CSOs and NSAs in Nigeria are. It's called the CSO NSA pyramid. And this is how we should be structured. The first level at the bottom are the grassroots NGOs, mostly self-finance, informal groups, working within their communities, cooperatives, etc. Lagos Island Connect, which is something I'm working with at the moment, is part of that group. NGOs that are working at the local levels and they're established by various individuals or groups or even some state entities. Now, the second level up are legally registered organizations working mostly on service deliveries. They're associations, the professional bodies I talked about. We have in Lagos State something called Lagos Civil Society Partnership, which is working also with Lagos State, and there are similar structures across the country. The third level are umbrella organizations and networks, like the Nigeria Network of NGOs, established in 1992. The fourth level at the top is that platform for dialogue for umbrella organizations. And you can see an arrow on the side of the projected image. And there's supposed to be a connection between those grassroots organizations going up and down in terms of injecting and feedbacking and organizing and structuring. But that level is not yet established. So I want us to take from this discussion that it's critical that we have that platform for engagement. Now, the role of CSOs that you asked me, that, what we're doing now and what will take us to the next level. We have to align and partner with international, federal, state, and local government agencies, unless they are antithetical to human rights and the welfare and protection of the citizenry, to contribute to socioeconomic development, peace, and justice. There's a communique which Jumoke will put up for you, which was issued at the end of a 2-day roundtable organized by the Office of Special Advisor to the President, blah, 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 on civil society, in collaboration with the European Union on increasing non-state actors' implementation and development expertise. This was way back in 2009. Let's have that communique, because it gives us a real sort of snapshot of what we should be doing the communique, So that communique talks about enhancing positive engagement of non-state actors in actualizing the 7-point agenda then and the 2020 vision. We're still visioning. And the communique lists the participants. Jumoke will put it up very soon. It was government officials, IDPs, and civil society organization and donors were participants in that. Now, we talked about the absence of a coherent monitoring and evaluation framework for the implementation of government policies and development plans. That the fact that it's not there, that absence has contributed to the failure of ensuring proper and effective delivery of services that will contribute to the development of the country. And it's created a lot of mutual suspicion. There are no defined guidelines for the engagement of CSOs by government in its various development programs. Also, there's poor management of our national resources, which has limited impact on the grassroots, especially at the state and local government levels. Activities of CSOs are largely focused at the national levels, We watch TV and we see the big guys talking with government and all that. So that is a challenge. And the poor management of our natural resources and public infrastructure, obvious to everybody. Now, the resolution at that particular engagement was that CSOs should demonstrate ethical standard and culture of responsibility to effectively impact on, if you go down to the resolutions, that's where I am now. You're all going to get a copy of this so that you are able to follow up the resolutions. That CSOs should demonstrate ethical standard and culture of responsibility to effectively impact on the society through the effective engagement of the public sector and service delivery at all levels. That is a special committee of CSOs and development partners should be set up for monitoring, evaluation, frameworks, etc., etc. And communique, the groups sought for legislation in line with the proposed Charity Act, as well as a self-regulatory body. That the government should empower and involve more CSOs working at the community levels. The private sector should partner on the following: transportation, agriculture, education, security, power. And the general resolution was that government and CSOs should cultivate the spirit of mutual trust, collaboration towards addressing the development challenges facing the countries. And that CSOs should mount massive mobilization campaigns towards popular understanding of the benefits associated with good governance and sound service delivery. That CSOs should contribute to the process of engendering community ownership of policies, programs, and projects. I can't overemphasize this, so keep that in mind. That the Nigerian state should practice true federalism, that we should support the government anti-corruption drive, and that a steering committee should be set up. Now, discussing these recommendations is probably what we should be doing today. And it's very important that CSOs, first of all, should demonstrate high ethical standards and a culture of responsibility and accountability to effectively impact on the society through the effective management of public sector service delivery at all levels. We lack the moral authority to hold the government accountable if we are unable to demonstrate these values ourselves. Ethics and values will be the most important element for the salvation of this country. Integrity, discipline, honesty, self-respect, trust should be our watchword. And these are the bonds and the principles that should keep us together as a nation. Collaboration with the National Orientation Agency should be one of the things we should be doing to take us to the next level, to drive this process. Nigerians should have a conversation and an agreement about our shared values. What does a Northerner, a Doman, a Yoruba person, woman think and agree on as the common values we all share? And that special committee of CSOs and the development partners should be set up for the monitoring and evaluation framework and coherent engagement to drive the implementation of the government development agendas through an organized system that will ensure inclusiveness and grassroots participation. The lack of this structure with effective tech-driven system, data management and coordination leads to duplication of efforts, wasting of funds, and lack of tangible results. Now, the institutional framework for engagement and monitoring. I remember a meeting we had with Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala way back when she was the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy. And we were discussing, as part of the agenda of that meeting, the removal of subsidy. And the CSOs advised the government to consult widely and holistically to get the buy-in of citizens. That advice was ignored, and the result was the revolt of the populace. So such a committee for engagement and coherent monitoring and evaluation framework not having been set up in spite of spirited efforts by CSOs is a challenge. Citizens and critical stakeholders should be involved in the formulation, implementation, and evaluation of budgeting policies, projects of government at federal, state, and local levels. When Governor Fashola was the state governor of Lagos, he established a monitoring committee comprising CSOs and stakeholders to monitor and evaluate government projects in Lagos State. A report was produced, and this can be replicated in all the states. And this activity should be reported and IT driven and available online so every Nigerian can engage. So engagement with the government on regulation and taxation is ongoing. It's not like nothing has happened since that meeting in 2000. Things are happening, but it's very slow. And other participants who I know were at that meeting there or are also involved in the ongoing process will let us know how things are going. And you remember that Lagos State held its town hall meeting on the 2024 budget, the consultative forum in all the divisions in September 2023. So it's not like nothing is happening. And just the other day, Speaker Tajuddin Abbas recently pledged that representatives will make public participation in the budget process compulsory. We must seize on this promise to compel him and the Senate to pass the relevant laws that will establish that stakeholder engagement and citizens' participation process. And just a few weeks ago, Action Aid held a program with the Senior Special Assistant to the President on deepening grassroots community engagements in Nigeria. That was on the 30th of November. A communique was also developed, and it included, as part of my intervention, that sustainable engagement with citizens and stakeholders at the grassroots levels through town hall meetings, culminating in a national summit with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will be organized. And we got a pledge on that. So another thing to hang on to. And of course, having a holistic, technologically driven feedback system. And then enhancing youth centers for learning and creation. A lot of our young people that we want to develop have no place to go. They have homes where it's dysfunctional, parents are fighting, and all kinds of things are happening. And we have to create safe spaces for them to go, to recreate, and also learn about training opportunities, job opportunities, and anything else that out there for their benefit. And I want to thank Professor Grange, I think she's with us at the moment, who alerted me to that program. We should monitor that development. So we must empower and involve more CSOs working at community levels. And I've talked about the pyramid model. A major role of CSOs is to amplify the voice and needs of the citizens and achieve results in partnership with these stakeholders, not to speak for them, but to give them, empower them to be able to voice their concerns. And CSOs should co-create projects and solutions with these target communities. Learn the skills for community development. A lot of us think that it's something we just go and do. No, there's a template for engaging with communities, and we should learn it if you really, as a CSO, want to engage with our citizens. Now, engendering ownership of policies and projects in the community for sustainability and support from behind, and foster the culture of thinking and problem solving, imagination, creativity, and developing local-driven solutions. Promoting local content and made in Nigeria goods and services is critical to stimulate productive activities. We're talking of production. We have to personally in ourselves invest in the local community. This applies to all of us. And one of the key things we drive in Lagos Island Connect is the promotion of the 2-kilometer rule, that individuals and organizations purchase goods and services within 2 kilometers of their residence and businesses, and also employ staff in that radius unless quality and qualified individuals are not available. We should promote the inculcation of the volunteering spirit, starting from the schools. We had the Girl Guides and Boy Scouts when I was young. A lot of young people now, unless you give them money, they don't want to do anything. So we must bring back that spirit of volunteering and communicate information about government interventions to the citizens. That's part of the role of CSOs. Not enough communication about the opportunities that are out there is being communicated to citizens. Now, the private sector obviously has a key role to play, and we should identify their CSR focus and engage accordingly. Collaboration and partnership with the government. Government have the prime responsibility to deliver security, growth, development in Nigeria. We as CSOs play a complementary role. So the citizens' participation is critical. And these town hall meetings I've been talking about at federal, state, and local levels should be institutionalized with a legal framework so that it doesn't go away when one governor goes or a president goes. Ideally, to achieve this partnership, we have to cultivate the spirit of mutual trust and collaboration towards addressing the development challenges facing the country. We as CSOs must prefer well-researched, evidence-based alternative policies and strategies, and not just criticize the government. We must collaborate with the government structure and MDAs to identify and fill identified gaps, develop plans and programs collaboratively, particularly in critical areas like the SDGs, health, education, infrastructure. And in other countries, these programs that are being implemented by CSOs are included in government budgets and funded by the government, since they're cheaper to execute than private sector profit-driven businesses. We must organize campaigns towards understanding the benefits associated with good governance and sound service delivery. We must mobilize our citizens to hold government accountable at all levels, hold their feet to the fire. When you see them in church, don't say, "Oh God, how's your wife? Can you help me with this?" Tell him, why is that something in the budget? Why is it something we talked about in health? The road, the drains is not in, why is it not being done? So we must hold their feet to the fire wherever we encounter them. And we have to track budget development and spending processes. As of we have to be wearing the same trouser from now on. Now, advocacy and pressure groups are necessary tools. Firstly, CSOs must present, as I said, well-researched, data-driven alternative policy. You can't just criticize without giving an alternative. And the next step, if that doesn't work, is mounting petitions, writing to them, calling them, social media and all the rest of that. And if that doesn't work, then finally, mass peaceful protests at relevant venues. Data shows that the most effective strategies are delivered through structured organizations. That is why SARS failed. They were not structured. And a lot of agitations failed. There's no structure. So with a structured organization that has a hierarchy and a command and control structure, similar to the civil rights movement in the US, things happen. Something we need to think about. So government and CSOs holding each other accountable is critical. And then partnership with the local government, the level that I said is really deserving of attention. This is the most important level of governance. Probably the reason why all the plans and visions we have are not working, and we continue to dream about the Nigeria we want. It's the most deprived, most disorganized, most underfunded, and incapacitated level of governance. It's like building whatever we're building on quicksand. In Lagos Island Connect, which is what I said we're working with at the moment, we've developed a structure for engagement with the support of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and other change agents within Lagos State government, members of the House of Assembly, local government chairmen, private sector institutions, international donors, and relevant stakeholders. Other partners are Lagos Chamber of Commerce, Cosmopolitan Women Club, which is my club. I must acknowledge them, otherwise they will abuse me when I go to the next meeting. Netherlands Embassy, Germans, GIZ, etc. It's driven and managed by youth volunteers, and information about the organization can be discussed later. Finally, I'm sorry you're all saying, when is she going to stop? Finally, the African culture is Ubuntu. I am because you are. Love and respect everyone, but hate what is wrong and destructive, even in yourself. Seek to support, to form a better human being, not just to condemn. We must rise up collectively to fight injustice everywhere. Thousands of our brothers and sisters are being killed and kidnapped daily. Where is the collective outrage? Where is the protest by the unions? There should be a collective outcry. The Bring Back Our Girls movement we started over the Chibok girls has died down. It's only marked by international agencies and a few NGOs in Nigeria. And the kidnappings continue. We must promote communal accountability, whistleblow, watching each other to protect and strengthen the better angels in all of us. Individuals and families should reject corruption and corrupt practices. I'll give you an example. A husband came home with a massive gift, a public officer, from a foreign trip to procure something for government institutions. The wife asked him to send the gift back to the office. She believed that corrupt money and materials corrupt whatever it touches, that it is a cancer that must be avoided or excised from the home and society in general. How many wives or husbands are sufficiently empowered or morally strengthened to do this? So let's restore good conscience. The impunity, the blatant in-your-face display of disregard for good behavior must stop. It's destroying the morals of our youth and plunging us into the depth of economic and social chaos. Let's partner with the National Orientation Agency for the reorientation of our mindset. Honest, disciplined citizens run effective public services. They will deliver power. They will deliver water, food, affordable housing, transparent elections, and good leaders. Let's prevent the complete breakdown of law and order and a reenactment of the NSAS debacle. It's not a mistake that we were born Nigerian. Living in Nigeria or in the diaspora, our destiny is forever tied to the fortunes of this country. Humanity is one. Let's work together, engage, communicate, connect, and build back up. Collaborate more effectively, individually, and through our CSOs group to rebuild and transform our nation from the individual, family, and community to the larger society. Don't agonize or
She's frozen. Maybe the snow got to her. Okay.
I think our network is fluctuating. She has
Yeah.
red on her network.
Yes. Let me try to see if we can turn off her video.
Well, she said quite a lot about CSOs, what they're doing and what they've done and all that. I was going to take her up on the issue of we should, right? But who should and who is going to bail the cat, which is typically the challenge with a lot of things in Nigeria. And that's what we should be thinking of. We will be taking a few questions when she comes back. So those who are interested in asking questions or seeking clarification.
I was kicked out by Zoom. I was talking too much.
When I didn't say so, maybe Zoom
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back now. We can see you.
Okay, so the last few words then.
Okay, last few words, we'll hear them and then we'll take a few questions. So I was just telling them that they should get ready to ask their questions. And I'm going to ask you only 1 or 2 questions myself.
Okay, so let's not disappoint our maker. Let's come together and build a country where equity, transparency, accountability, social justice, and the rule of law, peace, progress, prosperity, and development reigns. The fortunes of Africa and the Black race is tied to the success of Nigeria. Please involve women and young folk in the process. Women are the mothers of the nation. You can't do it without them. We produce the young men and women who are the leaders of today and tomorrow, and of course, supported by our men folk. Together, we are unstoppable. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you very much for that piece. And I'm sure we all quite listened very well and heard. The challenge that I have, two challenges which I want you to address. The first challenge is, I don't know, maybe you've gotten quite a lot of traction from Governor Sanwo-Olu, and we should commend him, but most of our people in government today know what to do. They know what to do. They are all well informed, but they're not interested in doing it. I think this issue of greed and selfishness and corruption is very, very paramount. So I'd like you to think through or speak to how we can compel, encourage, force, coerce, beg government to do what they need to do. That's number one. Then number two is, I heard a lot of we should. Anybody who knows me know that I don't like leaving things hanging. I like assigning responsibilities specifically to specific people and specific things. So who should do what and who can do what and who is ready to do what to make this country or Africa move to the next level or make this country or Africa great again. I'd like you to granulate that and let us know who specifically should, or which NGO or which CSO should. If you can speak quickly to those two issues, then we'll open the floor for questions today.
Thank you so much, Pastor Itua. Saying that government is specifically a governor like Sanwo-Olu, since we're in Lagos State, let's be practical and look at it from where we stand and live. I see the officials in government as often running around like headless chickens, because the process of selection is so often compromised. The amount of money that government officials have to use to run their campaigns, etc. The fact that a lot of the citizens themselves are not sufficiently empowered. I ran for the Senate in 2011, so I can give you a practical experience of the fact that if you do not have money, you cannot even talk to citizens. I did a door-to-door campaign, and the people were not interested in listening. They wanted money. So the guy who says, okay, and for me, I have a grudging respect for anybody who wants to run for office in Nigeria, because it's a blood sport. It's like going into battle, and you must have a certain, you must be made up in a certain way to want to jump into that fray and do whatever it takes, whether you have to bend down to godfather or godmother, or beg, steal, or borrow, or whatever it takes to get to your office. So once you get there, even the one that has a passion for the country, who has interest of the citizens, who really wants to do some good work, is going to be challenged at all levels by so many different elements. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say they are there because they want to serve, okay? And as long as they are relatively qualified in terms of capacity, let whoever it is that gets there, gets there. Now, the area of how do we make them do what we want is now our responsibility as citizens, and particularly as CSOs who have said we've organized ourselves to contribute to national development. So what we may need to do more than anything else, as we have said, is that structure of engagement, of actually discussing, first of all, amongst ourselves as CSOs. That is our responsibility. ALG is taking a lead, a pivotal lead in having that conversation. So I expect that after this meeting, this program, there should be a follow-up on these ideas. Because once I was invited, I sent the invitation to thousands of CSOs. And if they cannot attend, we will be engaging them afterwards on these issues. And I've also highlighted some of the things that will make it a sustainable achievement. If we all decide that after this, we must ensure that a law is passed, that town hall meetings are held monthly, quarterly, whatever we decide, at local, state, and federal levels, and a very, very robust feedback system so that all the citizens in whichever area can articulate their concerns and send it to whoever needs to be to deliver on the challenge. For instance, the drains on your street, I'm sure are hardly ever cleared. Personally, I have to look for who is the drain supervisor, who is in charge of environment. I spoke to my representative, Honorable Afini. He then had to call somebody to make sure that they clear the drains because the whole place was flooded and waterlogged. Now, to ensure that these systems are in place needs a lot of energy from all citizens. We have to take time out from the jollification and Faji time to engage with the public officers, and not just for ourselves, not just things that concern us individually, but what benefits the community. And if we organize the community well enough, that system will start to work as it works elsewhere. In other countries, you have the list of the person to call who is on duty for this or that, who is the contact hotline when your NEPA goes off, or PHCN, what do we call it now? PHCN goes off. There are systems of citizens engaging and getting service delivery. And these are the things that we as citizens, as civil society in particular, have to work at. Your next question is about who's ready to, what was it?
Who is going to bail the cat?
Who's going to bail the cat?
Yes.
We are bailing it. At Imbele, the bailing is going on. We are bailing, you know, you are belling very high, very loudly, Pastor Godalu. I see you on at the town hall meeting with the Senate. No, there was a program that you were involved in talking about the electoral. We're all belling the cat, but we have not been able to organize ourselves to have that critical mass, so that all the bells are going everywhere they go, they will be hearing the same sound. I think that is what we need to do next.
Yeah, that's what I mean. How to coalesce together, how to organize together. And I like the way you put it, that everywhere they go or everywhere we go, they will be hearing the same sound. I think that is very, 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 very important indeed. I think my sister Zobubi wants to ask a question. So Abiola.
Hello, good evening. So that I'm seen, I'll just video for a second and then, okay, good. I can just talk without video. I'm happy about that. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My dear brother, thank you for today. And incidentally, I was having a discussion with someone yesterday and we were talking about the civil service and nation building, civil societies and all. So I'm very happy to contribute, if I can, to what we just said. Look, the civil service, as we know, they are there for ensuring government policies are implemented properly and that services are delivered effectively. We had that. Our parents and our grandparents, in most cases, were civil servants, and some of us observed how hard they worked. I believe that we need to revisit, we need to revisit the Muritala Mohammed Obasanjo purge of the civil service. That. I also think that in doing that,
Have we lost her?
It seems like we did. Which? Yeah, she's frozen.
Okay, she was talking about the civil service. I'm not sure what the question was going to be, but it is very important for us to understand that elected officers come and go. It's the civil service that is primarily, majorly responsible for service delivery. And we tend not to pay too much attention to what's going on. The rot in the civil service in some ministries and agencies are mind-boggling. What the elected officer is doing is nothing compared to what's going on down there. And I think all of us have to, again, have that conversation about how to make sure the Orosaye report is executed, and also begin to engage not just with the governor, but with those civil servants who are responsible for what? The commissioner for this, the director for that. There are mothers, there are friends, they mingle amongst us. When I was young, if you came home with a car, the community will be asking you, Ross, did your father die or that you inherited money? Or are you playing the lottery that you won money to buy a car? Because they know how much your salary is. That's what we have to do. If a public servant who you know his salary comes home and is having a big party and calling it Sunny Ade, we have to ask questions. We, the citizens, are the ones responsible, because we have to recognize that we're in a democracy. It's not a monarchy where the governor, the president, the overlords, the local government chairman are the overlords. We are the owner of the country. We are paying the salary of civil servant. We are paying the salary of government, of governor, of president. If you employ somebody, are you supposed to just be saying, oh, that person, no, why is he behaving like this? What can I do about it? No, you organize and just do something about it. You organize with all your other landlords to say or employers to say, look, the person we employ, what are we going to do about it? So this mindset, I think, also has to be properly engendered in the citizenry, that they own whether the government works or doesn't work. It is their responsibility. The company is theirs. They have employed people. It is their responsibility to make sure that the people they employed do what they've been employed to do.
Okay, Biola, are you back? I don't think she's back. Okay, Bola Adetula has a question or a comment. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I'm happy that you people are now talking about the civil service and the civil servants. They are our problem. I can say that for free. Now, what can we do? If they don't, they are the ones who will sit down the politician as soon as he's employed, he's voted in and reports in the various ministries and parastatals. Oga, this is what you will do. They first of all start by saying, let us renovate your house. Give us your contractor. And they build in a lot of things. In fact, I don't want to go into any details. I had the opportunity of discussing with a former honorable this week. I was so taken aback. The guy said he walked out, not that he was voted out, because he couldn't stand what was going on. I'm not going to go into any details. So my own question is this: what can we do as a people? What type of class action can we take? I remember Pastor Itwa has invited somebody before, I think last year or year before, to come and talk about the civil service reform or whatnot and what. So what can we do as a people? We know. And they will come to you. Then we, the citizens, are also part of the problem. Once somebody is promoted, a PAMSEC or whatever, this is your opportunity. It doesn't come twice. They'll be putting pressure on you. And let us imagine, because I'm speaking from experience, I know somebody who refused, who was a federal permanent secretary for 7 years, who refused to steal. When he retired, they started going to his house, you see. The man didn't complain to anybody that he was broke. They went to him. Didn't we tell you, look at how you are looking. See, we told you at that time to steal as much as you can. You didn't even touch anything. See how wretched you are. See your wife, see your children. And the man now died out of depression. Because people were coming, he didn't complain to you. I'm just telling you this. This is a true story. So what can we do as a people to stop the civil servants? They are the richest in the country. They are richer than the country. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, very, very salient points. I've been saying eyes on the public service. That is what one of the major campaigns we have to embark upon. And I think we all remember our dear sister, Professor Grange. What happened to her when she became Minister of Health? That the civil service, because she was not ready to compromise, were ready to lock her up. I think we all remember that. So this is a present and constant danger that we must address. And that coalition of groups that are ready, particularly umbrella organizations, must get together and begin to discuss these issues and strategize, because you cannot attack it as individuals. You have to plan how you are going to do it, who is going to do it, when it's going to. That is why labor unions work, because they have a structure. Let us build a civil society structure. And when we were fighting the military, because I was part of that, one of the reasons that succeeded was because we had a partnership with the labor union, something we called JAF, Joint Action Front. So the civil society with Beko, people like myself, Gani, and all the rest of it, were partnering with labor union. Remember that it was when Frank Hokori, who unfortunately died today, may his soul rest in peace, started the movement of shutting down strikes, to having strikes. And I will give you another tidbit. When we were discussing how we will program the sit-at-home agenda. We had to, because people were complaining. The citizens were complaining that their daily bread, is contingent on them going to the market or doing their business every day. So that's why, if you remember, we had to strategize it in such a way that we had our strikes starting on Friday till Monday. People will go to work. We start. So these things need planning. It needs an organized structure. It needs people with integrity, like my brother Itwa and others, to come together. We cannot do it alone. You cannot be shouting in your corner and me shouting in my corner. All of us have to come together and begin to say, this is the plan. First of all, as I said, let us recognize the change agents in government. A lot of the things I have been able to do is because I don't blanket everybody. I don't say the judiciary is corrupt or the civil servants are useless. There are always bad eggs and good eggs in every pool of people on this planet. So we have to recognize and discover and partner. There are people in the civil service who are seeing all these things that we're saying and are crying because they cannot do it. Their conscience will not allow them to do it, but they have no support. So that is what civil society can do, to create that support system where they can whistle blow without being the ones that are targeted, where we can do the work that is needed to sanitize, rather than leave it to the individuals who are working in the public service. And to that man who became depressed, please, I'm begging everybody, when you have a good conscience and you've lived a life that you can present to your maker, my only prayer is thy will be done. I have no other thing that I want in life. I'm here, I don't know why, and I just want to do what I'm supposed to be doing. And I know that the support will come for you to do what you are supposed to do as God's work. We're all doing God's work to make this world a better place, to provide services one way or the other, to help and make life more comfortable for our brothers and our sisters, to inject some light to wherever we find ourselves. So if you are doing those things and you don't have money, you only need one roof over your head. You need a few clothes. You need to eat. Once you've been able to educate your children, your needs are very simple. And for us to feel that the lack of material things is going to leave you to die, we must move away from that. You are glorious in yourself as a human being, given all the awesomeness of life. That should make you wake up in the morning, you should be jumping for joy. That something else. So let's help people who may be able to. They may have he may have mental issues, because depression is not just as simple as that. But if in the absence of that, let us begin to project to our citizens that it is not material wealth that makes you happy. You can be happy with the simplest of all. The people that drive SUVs here, when they go to London, they get in the bus, they get on the train. I meet them there. Nobody cares. Why should your house or your car or the fancy clothes you wear or the wonderful jewelry you have make you a human being? That the human being is the gold, is the silver, is the diamond, the creation, the most almighty thing, the apex of creation. And we must not get into a mindset where we demean ourselves by saying, unless I'm this, I have that or the other. Those things, it's nice to have. Me, I enjoy money too. I enjoy a car. I enjoy this and that. If I have it, it's great. If I don't, it doesn't make me any less. And it shouldn't make anyone else any less than they are. You are the greatest of the greatest already, just by being born. I think that's rounding off on the civil service. The other thing we must begin to focus on is the inefficiencies in that civil service, because some of the the outcomes that we get is not so much out of corruption. It is inefficient, just sheer inefficiency. So a lot of our advocacy must also be channeled towards making that system more efficient.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's go to Mr. Daniel Ojo. Perfect, and then Electoral College. We'll take those two questions, one after the other. And my sister, Marie Fatai Williams. Those three questions. And then we'll take the next set very quickly. Daniel Ojo, please. We can't hear you.
Ma, I would quickly like to...
Go ahead.
Ma, I would quickly like to ask, don't you think that for us to change the narrative from our leaders up there, we have to fix the narrative of how the followers, we down here think in the aspect of, okay, we have people who want to do good, even in the civil servants, but it's like one among 100 of them. So it's easy for the 100 people to just the one person and just be the hyena and just eat you up. But what if, let's say there is a, how am I going to put it? There's a campaign, maybe in a form of, we know a lot of people watch YouTube, Facebook into script formats, and then act scripts or movie to correct people on, okay, let's say for instance, the drainage or how things should be. I think that way, when it is out, people who are watching this either on YouTube, we are indirectly changing their mindset of how things should be. So if we have one person to make the correction up there, and those people are fighting them, the person already have the backup of the people who are down to support. So it won't be easy for them to just throw this person out. So I'm saying in a nutshell, if a campaign in a form of entertainment, music that people love to see, sometimes we draw a proposal and then we take it to the people who are meant to activate it, and then they just throw it somewhere. Nobody outside knows it. But what if it's put in a short place? People are now going on social media now to watch this thing. Let's say, for instance, the drainage now, you sensitize them on how to take care of your drainage. And then there's a contact line to call if your drainage is faulty to, monitor all these things that people can also reach back to you through it. That way you do a compilation up there. You already gain the grant of the people that are down. The people who are on the low level, the middle class, this thing. So if we have one person now in the either political office or civil service to make a change, and then the 100 people are there now to eat the person up. The person already has the backup of people who are down.
I didn't get everything you said, but I caught the fact that you think if we can visualize and portray visual elements that will educate the public about some of the issues we've discussed, that would be useful. I think things like that. Sorry, were you going to say something?
No, go ahead. I'm
Yes. Yes, it's already going on in that a lot of the campaigns on gender-based violence, issues around kidnapping and smuggling, drug abuse. These things are going on. But like I said, we are not coordinated enough as civil society, because this is our focus today. As civil society, if we had that apex dialogue where we consider these issues, the entertainment industry will have a representative there. The musicians, the artists, and all will have representation there. And we can now all develop strategies based on our area of focus, regional focus of activity. And often one finds that a lot of the activities that civil societies are more active in are donor-driven, in the sense that, you know, the donors, the Europeans, Americans, they have their own agenda in the sense that the things they want to focus on are well defined. So there are some things that may be peculiar to your environment which does not align with theirs. And you cannot say, oh, you're not going to do anything until some donor comes along. And I've often told people that a one-man riot squad is better than a disorganized, assembly. If people are truly passionate about what they believe in, they will start even without donor funding. As they are starting, because that passion is coming from within and without. And as I said earlier, all the elements of your maker are with you because you are being directed, because that thing is important for the common good. And those are the things that the elements, the angels, and all the good things, all the good spirits are, when they see those sorts of things, yeah, let's go here. And they give you the energy, they give you the ideas. You are because the Almighty does not have eyes, hands and feet and a brain. It's what that has been created, we, the human beings, that are supposed to be the eyes and ears and brain and hands and feet of the Almighty. So when we identify issues like this, start doing it. Start doing it in your little community, and other people will be attracted to what you're doing. The necessary resources that you need will come, and we will be able to develop. See what happened when George Floyd died in America, or was killed, in America, or when the journalists were killed in France, Charlie something or the other, Hebdo, I can't remember the French name. Because there's a structure for organizing, it is easy to mobilize. Well, not easy, but at least the process of mobilization is already there. And you'll be able to get people to now focus on Black Lives Matter. If it is, we will set our own agenda. All CSOs in Nigeria to this month or the next 6 months, this is what we want to do. And we will have agreed, because we will have a channel of communication with as remote an NGO community, Egbe Omo, this or that, the artisans, the mechanic union, because if we make sure that structure works, where we're able to communicate with each other, then it's very easy to program, to strategize, to plan. It's easier, and we can all work in unison. I mean, that's what I did when, in fact, this is what led to the Nigerian network of NGOs when Professor Olikoi Ransom Kuti was Minister of Health, because government kept calling us, come and do this, and then we'll go home. Then they call us, come and do that. And I said, look, man, you cannot be calling us as if we're jobless. Let's have a structure where we can engage with each other, with government, with donors, other stakeholders effectively. And that's how the Nigerian network of NGOs was founded. So if we have this platform where we are able to, coordinate our ideas, plan collectively, and ensure that that we have a feedback mechanism that goes right down to the grassroots, then I think we will be somewhere.
Okay, thank you very much. Electoral College, please. And then And then where's Marie, Mrs. Fatai Williams? She's dropped off. Okay, Electoral College, please.
Good day, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Good day, Ma. Thank you for everything you put in. My name is Kune Lawal. We've engaged earlier. Pastor Itoasa, is also a pleasure to be here, and of course, everybody that's here. First and foremost, whenever we discuss the Nigerian problem, here's the first thing, and I think we don't really pay attention to it. You cannot develop a country that you do not love. What is missing critically in Nigeria is first the love of country, and then next the identity of country. So we don't even know where we're going. And these are the basis and prevalent issues that generate into other things, corruption, etc., and going down the lines. As regards CSOs, it's always been something funny in my short time in the CSO space. I've been in a lot of spaces, but now I'm in the civic space. And in that short time, what I've realized is that every CSO wants its name on the door. Everybody wants to be the one that created the change or directed the change. It's critical, Ma, what you said, and I've always said this. A lot of people wait for donor funds. I'm very grateful for what the Electoral College has done. This is 4 years in inception without donor funds, with assistance from a lot of friends and etc. But what we critically need to understand, like which you pointed out, Ma, was that these donor agencies already have their own agenda. What is now the Nigerian agenda? That's what we need to create, a Nigerian agenda that we all can ascribe to, a Nigerian agenda that we all can link to, and we can say, okay, what we're trying to create is that, okay, we're creating a new tribe. I'm just giving an example. We're creating a new tribe, and the tribe is Nigerian, and it comes first before Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, Fulani, or whatever. And if you notice, that is one of the big bases of one of all our issues. Next, there's a total central focus on the presidency by CSOs and etc. And okay, I'll give an example. Limosho has a local government FAC allocation per month of 1.1 billion per month. That means in a year, Limosho, not minus IGR, collects about close to 13 billion naira. What is being done? These local government people do not have immunity. We don't want to have those conversations. Our conversations are, whenever we discuss politics, APC, PDP, and Labour Party. And like you rightly said, they're bad eggs and they're good eggs across the whole thing. For me, I always use this analogy. I'm a very diehard Arsenal fan, and okay, we're in the good times now. But you know, when it was the bad times, you change the coach. So it's always the players and not the game. Everybody detests politics, and most people say politicians like to throw money around. They won't throw money around if you don't collect the money. I've run for office, and the average thing you see the Nigerian doing, so somebody that will naturally put something in a newspaper for me for 15,000 naira. The moment I declared I was running for Senate, it became 250,000. Just like with a website. So we're all guilty of this corruption. Nobody should point to civil service. Nobody should point. Nigeria is clearly, and I'll say this in closing, Nigeria is clearly a buffet of corruption. Everybody's waiting for their turn for samosa. Final. Thank you very much. Good luck, everyone, and thanks for the opportunity.
Well, most of your interventions were comments. Samosa, I don't like samosa, so that doesn't work for me. You know, but you said a lot of the important things that need to be said. Yeah, we cannot. You say we cannot love. Believe in a country that you do not love. You cannot develop a country that you don't love. At what point do you get to that you say you don't love your country? Most children love their country. They go to school. They're very happy. They're Nigerian. You know, they're innocent in that space. It is when you begin to engage with the system that you become more disillusioned. So how the engagement and discussion around patriotism. That's why I said, whatever we do, we must engage with National Orientation Agency because they have very good strategies for reorientation. And the political structure has not given them much space. So let us advocate that that institution is allowed to work. And then we at our end, as civil society, I'm in several civil society groups where people are abusing the president. Or that is not the business of civil society. The business of civil society is to be apolitical. We should be like priests and pastors like Pastor Itwa, where we love everybody. And what we're working for is change. What we're working for is reform. It's not to abuse anybody or to bring anybody down or to tell people they're terrible, mostly without evidence. There's no evidence that that person has stolen this or has been arrested for that, but we will go on social as civil society groups, not as some common person who doesn't understand the rule of law, that you cannot call somebody a thief unless they have been jailed by a judge. We are the ones who will perpetuate the bile, the hateful language. Civil society itself needs to train itself about why it is civil society and its role in the system. Our role is to aid and bring succor and bring light and bring development, not to spend our time bringing people down. If there are issues that need to be addressed, address it with mind, with brain, with evidence, with some other strategy that will get results. Shouting at anybody does not solve anything. I retired from the private sector. And from there, we learned very early that if you want to change anything, use the praise sandwich. You don't go to the person and say, you this, that, the other. Why did you do that? No. You start with, oh, Mr. So-and-so. Oh, I really like what you did with it. However, there's some little challenges with this area. The man's ears are opening to what you're saying. And then you make sure that you couch the things you want changed in a language that he can understand so that he can actually do what it is you want him to do, whether it's your employee or a business partner or whatever. And then you end the sandwich with, oh, I really think you're a great guy. That person will fly for wherever he wants to and do whatever it is you want him to do. But if all you are saying is, look, my friend, you are this, what? As soon as you start, the ears are blocked. And we should do this with everything. I see mothers, I see parents abusing and cursing their children. Those sorts of things we must, as civil society, that's part of the orientation. When you're working with women's groups, when you're working with communities, you should be able to point out the damage that we do to ourselves when we abuse ourselves. For me, we are all children of the Almighty. The Almighty lives in every single one of us. So when you do damage, you hurt the mind, you hurt the spirit of another human being, you're hurting God. So let's have that in mind so that when we are working in the civil society space, we are looking to bring out the very best in each and every one of us. These politicians, they sacrifice to get wherever they are. You, the one that sit at home, you didn't run for office. So your job is not to just criticize them. It is to say, well, thank you, you've got there. We wish you well, and we want you to succeed. How can we succeed together? You are my brother now. How can we do this thing together? And because that's what happens elsewhere. The democracies we want to emulate and get the benefits of that system, they find a way of collaborating, of working. They have their town hall meetings. If you watch CNN or any of these other, the legislators, they have to go back to their constituency and have town hall meetings where the people can talk to them about what they want. And so when they get back to Senate or wherever it is, they have to raise the issue that there are people asking them. Otherwise, when they come back home, there's no peace. So these are the things we have to gradually begin to develop. Let's recognize the fact that we're coming from a very different space. We cannot be Europe and America today or in the next 5 years. We are building a system. And that ability for us to come together, I hope the gentleman from the Electoral College will volunteer. Because often when we say, let's talk, they say, where is transport money? That one has to stop. If you want to change, you have to bring your own contribution of getting yourself to the venue to engage. So I hope you will be part of that discussion that we must have to develop the Nigerian agenda you are talking about. Whether it's a new tribe we want, a new generation, new color, we can change our color, we can change whatever we want. Once we get together, discuss it, and agree on it. And you are absolutely correct. The focus on the presidency is a futile exercise. The man is in Abuja, I can't hear you, can't talk to. The one in your ferry before, the chairman of the local government. Organize yourselves within the councillor in your ward. Organize yourselves and begin to engage. And one thing about Lagos State that a lot of people don't remember, when President Tinubu when he was governor, he created the CDA CDC structure, where it's structured. They meet regularly, but it's mostly populated by political people, so to speak, people who are loyalists. But there's nothing that prevents any other citizen from being part of the discussions that goes on. So we ought to, we must sit in our houses, begin to find out what structures are already in place for engagement. Who are the people, the local government chairman? He's only one man, and how many people are working in the council, the local government council? 50, 100 maximum. If all the young people, the stakeholders are in that community, go and visit them and say, far, this is this thing, we want this, we want that. Everybody will sit up. Let's draw closer to each other. Unfortunately, the military disconnected us. It became an us, government became an us and them. We didn't feel that they came from us and that we have common purpose. So it's time for us to bridge that gap and say, this chairman is a human being, he's my brother now. And all of us who are interested in development must begin to come together. If you want change, you cannot be divisive in your own house. The CSO house itself is divided. Let's work together to bridge the gap, come together, and develop all these wonderful ideas that we have preferred today. Thank you.
All right, let's take 2 more or 3 more questions. Marie Fatai Williams, Mrs. We lost there, so maybe we'll take your question and with Professor Nika Grange also. We'll take those 2 questions very quickly, and then we'll take Juliet and Marcella Washington. Thank you. Please go ahead, unmute yourself.
Good evening, Pastor Itoa. Good evening, Cosmo YRK and everybody. I wasn't lost there. I could hear you. I only decided to lower my hand because you had recognized me, so I thought you knew I was still on. So when you said I wasn't, I had to put my hand back up. But anyhow, there we are. I want to quickly say, just to put this in order, to say, I think it's high time we stop this phrase of saying the military divided us. Military has been gone from our polity for a long time. We've had political parties take over. We have politicians, we have political governments. So let's forget this military thing dividing us and whatever. For me, I think it doesn't wash anymore. That's one thing. Because if even they did, we are mature enough now to know what to do. 2, CSOs, civil societies, they are the conscience of the nation. That we are divided How can we ever come? Just like what Pastor Godal was saying, who are the who are, how do we do it? For me, look at even just women. Aba Women's Riot today still stands tall as a movement for change. It delivered change to the women. The women did what they needed to do to get what they needed to get. We as women cannot even be voted for. We fight for the little positions we say we want to get. We can't even get them. And yet we have the capacity, we have the strength, we have the numbers. And we are still waiting. I want to ask a question. What is happening? What has happened to us in the last 5 years? Is it worse or less worse than what happened that allowed us to do an Occupy movement? Why has there been no Occupy? What drives Occupy movements? That we had that big thing at, I don't know, the motor park here or something that was done, and it brought a lot of changes and whatever. Is our situation today better than what we had 4 years ago, or 9 years ago, that made the Occupy to happen? In the last 5 years, are we better off as a people, as women, in the House of Assembly? The numbers are dwindling every day, from a high level for senators and whatever, now to almost little or nothing, 1 or 2 representation. And I start to say, a National Council of Women's Society, which is a galvanizer, which would be a galvanizing force for women, is gone. It's now a gongo. It's worse than a gongo now. It's like a political arm of a political party or of political parties, any government in power. So you start to say, therefore, how do you, at the end of the day, tell me that we want to have a groundswell and that CSOs and civil societies are not necessarily there to say, see me, I'm here. You want to appoint, I'm the leader of this one, appoint me. Or I want everybody's there for themselves, for self-glorification, or for what they can get, not for, what do you call this thing? Giving of the selfless service. So this social justice that you talk about, where is it? How can we bring it back to focus? Rule of law that you talked about is non-existent. The multidimensional poverty that exists today does not need anybody to blow a whistle to say this must stop. But where are we? Mothers are there taking one hand, knocking on the okay, Kashima wo no, Kashima wo kene. It's where are the movements? There's no movement. If the suffragettes did not do what they did years ago, we will not be here where we are today talking about women's lib or talking about women's rights. Women's rights are human rights. But where have we come? Where are we today? The fight we have fought so far to even get a women's ministry, that we cannot even insist that the woman who would hire the women's ministry should be a woman of, what do you call it, gender sensitized woman who knows what to do when she gets there. It's a pity that now we were talking of giving everybody Kekena Pep to ride. That is the problem of women today in this Nigeria. Cry, my beloved country. I know you are an activist, you are a female, you are one of the high ones in this. Talk to me on this. Thank you. Women's movement. How can we get back to it?
Women's movement. Let me start with that. It's the women that we move now. You refer to the Aba movement and the Abeokuta, what did they call themselves? Under Funai Ransom Kuti, who deposed a whole king. The fact is, you cannot cry more than the bereaved. Women, the challenges that women face are multifarious, and I don't want to go into too many of it. I am not sure how many women actually believe that women are equal to men. The women themselves, I'm not talking of, let's leave the men out of this discussion. The women themselves, based on whether it's a religious, tribal, cultural, or whatever persuasion, do they believe that they are equal to men? So that is one very, very big plank that has to be crossed. Now, The governments that we have are born out of a dysfunctional system in itself. It is not a system that was well established, running and functioning effectively. So at every juncture that you have, the government itself is trying to establish control, whether it's through the National Council of Women's Society or through the labor union, or they are trying to make sure that they don't lose the control, the power. Not just because they want the power alone, but because that is how you control a country. You've read Machiavellian principles and Hitler's. That's the concept of most people who want to lead. That look, unless I'm controlling this environment, I make sure everybody is doing what I want them to do, things will not go well. This is part of the culture that is in most homes in Africa, where we say the man is the head. Now the man who has been taught that he's the head, the woman who has been taught that she's the tail, you now want them to revolt inside the house, and the woman should start saying, look, I'm equal to you now. And the man will just look and give her something. So there are lots of underlying things that have to change. And I'm not saying this as a negative or a positive. The countries we want to follow and copy, Europe, read their history. Women suffragettes, women were controlled in Europe, in America, in all parts of the world. Leaders believe that unless they control the space they are supposed to govern, things will not work for good, not necessarily for evil. So let's bear in mind that this is what we're dealing with. And as women, and I speak to a lot of women who are working in the space you're talking about at the national level, and I keep saying, you guys are in the wrong place.
How do I tell you?
We have to begin to talk to the women in the ground level, the market women, the groups of women. There's so many women groups at the community level, not the one that is able to talk to Mr. President. The one that is at the community level, who is finding her feet. I was at this morning at a program organized by Genius Hub. Now, this is run by a very, very powerful young woman in Imese, right? And they organize lots of youth groups, training in tech, training in this, training in that, training in the other thing. And the keynote speaker next to me was Mrs. Gloria Asuku, I think. I hope I haven't messed up on it. Anyway, she's running an organization CSO in the East called Girl Power Initiative. And they just spent 3 years training young girls to have a voice, to have a purpose, to understand that they're human beings, first of all. They have the capacity to be whatever they want. Hey, come and see some of the women that came through that system. There's a young girl that is now the head of the Ashoka leadership in West Africa or Africa, I think, who came from this group of trainees, mentees that were trained by this woman, this small woman. And these are the organizations we should be talking to. These are the young people we should be talking to, who are ready to work, but the big women are talking to President Tinubu. The big women are going to visit Gbajabiamila and Akpabio. No. And this was the thrust of my presentation, that we have to go back to the communities, not as Mrs. Know-all or Mr. Know-all. We have to engage with them as my brother, my sister. How do we solve this problem? Even if you know the answer, let it come from them through a process called community development. When they begin to come out with the ideas and you are able to work with them to now bring it to a policy framework, a strategic framework that now sounds good to UNDP and USAID, the people who are funding the big women, then you will find that when the women of Nigeria rise, you have millions. But if you are still talking to yourselves and talking to the big guys and the big boys, nothing will happen, because the grassroots is not, they don't know what you are doing. They're not interested because they don't see the benefits to them. They're jejely sitting in their husband's house. Husband is looking after them, paying school fees. So they're not going to listen to anything you have to say. So that engagement has to come from understanding the benefits to the men and the women, to have an equitable space where you have happy people who can actualize their natural potential. The woman that wants to stay at home with her husband and be controlled by her husband, stop abusing her. That is how the stage that she's in at the moment. That is her space at the moment. If she's happy and that, fine, bro. You are looking after children. You are looking after the home. Well done, well done, well done, well done. And let's celebrate ourselves. Let's support each other in the space we're all in. If they are not ready for women's liberation, they are not ready. But they will be ready one day when they begin to have children, girls themselves, who are educated, who are discussing with them, who are bringing out the issues that, make sense to them. So let's, the women's movement, let's go back to the real women, the one in the grassroots, the one in the rural area, who doesn't even feel human, not to talk of woman at the moment. So that's my advice on that. Are we better today as women? I think a lot of narrative is often negative based on lack of information. The world is in a better place today than it was 5-10 years ago. There may be challenges, but there's data to prove that there have been advances in medical attention, in the number of people that are actually going to school, the information. When young people complain to me about how difficult life is, and I remember when I was young, when telephone came, where is telephone? There's no such thing that you can quickly phone your friend. You trek for miles before you reach the person. Where is, the various advances? Look at us now talking. If we wanted to talk way back 5-10 years ago, we will look for plenty money to organize a physical meeting. So there have been a lot of advances which you do not celebrate enough. Yes, there are challenges, but if we look at the advances we have made, there are more women probably now in positions of authority. They may not be in politics. No, like, I don't want to be, me, I don't care whether women are in politics or not, to be honest with you. It would be nice if they were. I want good people in politics. I want good men. If you're a woman and you think you can do it, you go and do it. Just be good. Just be a sympathetic, a caring person. I have boys and girls. I have 2 boys, 2 girls. I love them both. If it's the one who wants to go into politics, I will support. If it's the girl that wants, fine. My youngest is a lecturer, an associate professor at the University of Oxford. If she wants to go into, she did political science and philosophy and something big, which I can't remember, I can't pronounce. Anyway, if she wants to go into politics, I'll support her 100%. I have 2 boys. If it's the boy that wants to go, 100%. That is the mind I think women should bring into this equation. It's not about us getting everything or even anything. It's about creating a space where every human being, boy or girl, physically challenged or whatever, has access to actualize their true potential, remove the barriers, give them the education that they want, give them the health services that they are needed, provide the proper infrastructure. That is, I think women should also be focusing on the challenges that create barriers for all of us. There are more women in the professions now. They, as directors of company, go to IODs filled with women. Go to a lot of the professional groups. It's women are there. Women are advancing all over the place. But to now say, unless you give us senator or House of Rep or something, for me, it's nice, but it does not particularly or necessarily improve our GDP or socioeconomic development. We've had the women there, Mrs. Desiani, what happened? Stella, waiting call. You know what happened. Now, so let's be more strategic as women about what we want. If we are being particularly deprived, particularly in the workspace, in the ability for women, for them to access finance, go and work with that. If they're being discriminated against in the workspace, let's work at that. I'm not saying we should completely forget the political agenda, but for me, it is not the priority. That's to my dear sister. And then just the last thing.
We need to move on very quickly because we're running out of time.
Yeah,
so we have to keep the questions very brief and the answers even briefer so that we can end in good time. Okay, yeah. So after you make this last remark, we'll take Professor Grange and Masenana Washington, and then we will close. Okay, I see my friend Shex is lifting his hands. If you will ask a 1/4 question, because I know he's your brother, you have a relationship, that's why he's raising his hand. So maybe we'll take those last 3 questions and then we'll close. Juliet, it will be next time so that we save on time, I beg. Okay. Thank you. Right. Professor Grange, or you have something else to add, my sister?
Yeah, I was just going to round up on the issue of saying the military divided us. We must never forget our history. The military did divide us. Let's acknowledge it. It doesn't mean that they have continued to divide us, but saying it does not make it what is our DNA. Let's acknowledge our history. This is where we came from. We have moved from there, but we need to move faster and be more collaborative and connected with each other. So that rounds that up.
Good. So Professor Grange, please, we'll take you very, very briefly. Marcella Washington will take you briefly, and then Papa Shex will close with you very briefly. We'll take all 3 questions together or comments, and then I'll ask our sister, Ms. Ransom Kuti, to answer and then give her closing remarks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Pastor Itua. Thanks for giving us this opportunity. My sister Yemisi has said it all. I know she's I mean, we come from the same, the same, I would say probably the same womb, because your father and my father were very, very close. They were, served the community in the same way. Having said that, you've drawn our attention to so many important areas which need to be looked at in detail, and we try and see how we can move forward from there. The first thing is that leadership. First of all, people do not really recognize what a leader should be like. Now, maybe in the past, people really did appreciate those who gave of their best to communities. But right now, they're not doing so. What do they want in a leader now? A leader who can give them money, as you have said. So, we still need to train, to educate even the citizens. And this is why ALG has taken up this education of citizens. But having said that, we need to look at our educational institutions. Educational institutions are really, really dragging us back. Gone are the days when all the students will be learning about values, value systems, philosophy, anthropology, sociology, and things like that. And I know that my boss, Professor Oliko Ransom Kuti, when he was going to start this primary healthcare thing, the first thing he said is that all medical students must be taught about philosophy, psychology. This was new in medicine at that time. He said you cannot go to the community without knowing what is happening in the community, without knowing how they want to organize them or how they've organized themselves and what you want from them, what they want from you. So this is a problem with educational institutions. We need to look at what they are doing and really how are they training the young ones to be more in tune with development in the community itself. Think of the Obas and those who are leaders in the community. What do they want? They also want power. They want, and that's how they have been captured by those who have money. They've been, you and I know, particularly the Yoruba Obas, they've been captured. So we actually need to look at what is happening and then be ready to train those who need to be trained, let me give you an example of how we have to train. You've already told us the counseling. It's using counseling skills. That is, you approach people and tell them, okay, we know what you are doing, but let's try and see whether we can do it better, Look at breastfeeding, ordinary breastfeeding. It has taken us so many years to convince mothers to breastfeed their children. Why is that? Because they feel that you are not you are not in their own shoes. They have so many things to cope with, and now you just tell them breastfeed, without making it possible for them to deal with whatever other problems they have in life. So these are the issues. The same thing at the civil service level, as you have said. We need to study them. We need to know what it is that is actually making them to go in that direction of corruption, And one simple thing that I would like to advocate about ministers and PAMSECs is that when you bring a new minister into a ministry, you have to change the PAMSEC. You have to move him around. Otherwise, the minister is not free to, to operate the policy, because he will certainly be directed by that PAMSEC. So that is one short intervention which can be done. So we need to look at what do we want to do? We look in terms of short term and long term. The short term, various CSOs need to be able to train, to educate, to advocate and educate. But before they can do that, they themselves need to be trained. So this overall CSO that we are thinking about must have those skills, those training skills, so that they can make sure that these people, you know, the CSOs that are going to do the job know what they are doing. Finally, the National Orientation Agency. I think we need to know more about them. You obviously know quite a lot about them. You know, is there anything that, I mean, what are the characteristics that you want us to, why do you want to latch us onto them? Are they actually doing the right thing? And what can we do to encourage them to do better? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's keep the questions short, please. Marcella, please, short, straight to the point, and Sheiks do the same so that we can round up quickly.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Madam, it was a wonderful session. I really enjoyed it. I have a very short, brief question, and that is, from my recollection of everything that we have discussed, you're very concerned in reference to citizen involvement in reference to coalitions or advocacy problems that you're dealing with in Nigeria. And there are quite a few of them. If you were to have, say, for instance, $1 billion dropped into your lap, what would be your core, your main 3 topics that you would start formulating groups, be activists in reference to helping Nigeria get ahead, in reference to major issues that Nigeria is dealing with that you would suggest to get started with a civilian coalition?
Thank you very much for that question. Sheiks, your question very quickly.
That was the question.
Sorry?
Oh, that was the question.
Yeah, we got it. I'm just asking Mr. Ladipo the last question to take his question so that our guest can answer all the questions together. But maybe he's either stuck, he's not able to unplug himself, blah, blah, blah. So my sister, please answer those 2 questions and take your final comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, it has been a very productive evening, I think. Professor Grange, always lovely to be part of the warrior group, the Aluta group. The journey is long, but it will end one day. I think a lot of the suggestions the statements you made were suggestions, which I think we can take on board at the next group meeting we have. After this program, I believe there should be a follow-up to kind of distill the recommendations that were made. And engaging with National Orientation Agency is critical because they have the national spread. You know, they have offices in every local government, but they have been disempowered by the powers that be in the past administrations. I am an optimist, and I believe that with this new president who fought for democracy himself, you know, he was chased out by Abacha. He was in exile for a long time, and he was part of our strategic thinking for entrenching democracy in Nigeria. So I know as far as that is concerned, his heart is in the right place. So I think we should seize the moment before he gets tired of all of us shouting at him and says, you know, to H with all of them. Let us engage positively with him and the agencies he has established, like this new special advisor on community development or community engagement is somebody we should immediately be contacting to say, can we have a meeting? Can we find out what you're doing? I think in the early stages, ours is to find out what these agencies are doing and then be able to organize ourselves in such a way to engage with those agencies and the programs they have and see how we align, how we can agree on 1, 2, 3 things which we can then run with. To Marcella, thank you, Marcella. Building a coalition, there are various models. I think we've already started in terms of the kind of conversations we're having. We already know of the major networks and organizations who are connected. The Nigerian Network of NGOs is connected to 90 different networks. So we have the major ones. Our challenge is building the data, building a data that is easily accessed, so that if I want to work in Makurdi or Kafanchan, there's a place I can go. Which NGOs are working so and so? What are they doing? What are their details? And be able to connect with them. So in terms of the three major things that I would want from, I would prioritize in respect to what the coalition should be doing, I think the first thing is that data gathering, that ability to find out who is what and where. And since we have an organization like Nigerian Network of NGOs that has already started doing similar things, we can come together and begin to work. So data management, gathering and management is critical for the group. And the advocacy regarding institutionalizing that stakeholder engagement would be the next priority. And I think for the third, the priority, I always believe that consensus is much better than individual advocacy. So whatever comes out of the decisions of that coalition should be the next ABC that we then pursue. So I hope I've answered your questions in terms of the top three things I would do. First of all, I would faint. How much did you say? $1 billion. I'll faint first. And then I would do those things that I have suggested. Thank you, Marcella. And to summarize, we've had a wonderful evening. We've touched on various ranges of the challenges we have and solutions that face us as CSOs. We know that we should be the watchdogs, we should be the advocates, service provider, experts when needed, capacity builder, incubator when necessary, representative when it's important, citizens champion, solidarity supporter, and definer of standards. I have summarized what I think are key defining roles are. But the most important thing we must take away from this engagement tonight is that it is our citizens that need to have a voice. It is our citizens that should be center stage in campaigning for their needs, in voicing out their needs, in having that space where they can be heard, where they don't feel that they don't matter, where they don't feel that if their children are kidnapped or people maraud them or terrible things happen to them, nobody cares. That's what we should focus our attention on going forward. I want to once again thank Pastor Itwa, my dearest brother, and Jumoke for all the work she's done putting this together, and the ALG team. My friends, there's so many of you. My president, Marie Fatai Williams. I mentioned Cosmopolitan Women so that you don't throw me out of the club during my presentation. I really, really think we have to recognize that our challenges are humongous. Don't let's be, I don't want to use the word stupid or blind. Let's recognize that we have tremendous challenges. We are at the birth. It's like when the woman is in labor, that's the toughest time. That's where we are as a nation. We're at the cusp of something great. So our reserves, our courage, our ability to be disciplined, our ability to deprive ourselves of current pleasures and material needs for now. When soldiers go to war, they're not thinking of what they're going to get, or the next money that is coming, or how they're going to have a nice party tomorrow, or all those lovely, sports, going to watch Arsenal, that electoral college. I'm talking to you. Let's decide that this is the time to hunker down, discipline ourselves, deprive ourselves, fast if necessary, and set a goal and work together to achieve it together, because brothers and sisters don't disappoint. Thank you all so much for having me this evening, and God bless you all.
Thank you very, very much, my sister. I hope we didn't draw you out too much with too many questions and all that. Well, thank you very much for being gracious. We've learned a lot, and there's a lot to chew on and to look at. And I wish you very well. Merry Christmas. The Lord bless you and look after the children. I've not met them before. Maybe one day I'll have the opportunity and the privilege so to do.
They're beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Great Nigerians. Doing great as well.
Or they're abroad?
The eldest was abroad. He was a senior manager with British Rails. He's back working in Nigeria. The next one is an artist. Sheung, who is a senior manager in managing a lot of heritage issues in the UK. And Eniola with her husband in the UK. I have grandchildren, and they are wonderful. And it's their passion is my passion. I don't understand when people say there are people who don't believe in Nigeria, who don't love Nigeria. All my children love Nigeria. Hard as it is, nowhere that is not hard. There's nowhere in the world. There's no paradise on this earth. Is where you die that you go to paradise. This part of God's creation is a problem-solving field. You were sent here to solve problems. There's nowhere you will go that you will not have problems. So let's stay put, hunker down, put our heads together, hug each other, and solve those problems together. There's nobody going to do it for us. You can pray from now to kingdom come. Japan did not pray before they developed. United States did not pray before they developed. We have to do the work. So we must understand that and know that in spite of all these challenges we have one of the most beautiful, the most expansive country on God's earth. The opportunities are everywhere. We just need to set our minds to it, be less negative, because that just takes energy away from you. I don't have time for blaming people or criticizing. Okay, it's done, it's done. How do we solve it? Always focus on the solution. Always focus on how do you get to the outcome that you want. Don't waste your energy. I don't spend time with people who complain. There's problem everywhere. The Queen of England has problem. Margaret Rishi Sunak, if you sit him down, he tell you his problem. Biden has his problem. Everybody has problems. There's no human being in the world that does not have problems. So let us understand that we are here to be co-creators with our maker. We are here to be the problem solvers. We are here to be the ones that will assist those who are not able, who are less able. And I believe that if we truly understand our position, Nigeria in particular, in human history, we will not be so cavalier with the opportunity we have. We won't spend the time fighting over things that are not particularly relevant. Okay, if we had done it this way, we have had great elections, it would have been this or that. Okay, we didn't, and we know why we didn't. We've talked most of this afternoon about why we didn't. We don't have qualified people running things. We don't have systems where it is transparent. We don't have efficiency in the system. We don't have people who have, people are being born today. I've written a piece about, the next president of Nigeria, who's probably, or the president the next 30 years or so, is being born in some forest somewhere. He will not know his father. He will not know his mother. He will grow up as one rough rider something. And then when he becomes somebody, and begins to behave the way he does, we will say he's terrible. So let's begin to look out for each other. Be our brother's keeper. There are no saints down here. Every one of us has something that they have to answer to Papa God for. So let's please love each other. Let us please hold our hands around each other and lift each other up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. God bless you. God be with you. Have a great life, and let's love each other and hold each other's hands up. Good. I don't know if Sonny or Jumoke have any announcements as we close.
Merry Christmas in advance to everybody, and a wonderful 2024.
Right.
We have a short video that we would like to play on the Nigerian agenda. If that's
the dream is to have a prosperous nation and a prosperous people who can be anything that they want to be within the confines of their ability. We need to have a Nigerian dream that will unite us, instead of having separate interests that divide us. Yes, we may be culturally different and all that, but what is the Nigerian dream? A strong Nigeria where everybody has a voice, where everybody's voice is heard, where everybody can aspire to greatness and contribute their own quota to the realm of Nigeria, where we can be proud Nigerians and say we're men of integrity and we're men of stature and strength. That should be the Nigerian dream. A prosperous Nigeria with prosperous individuals who can aspire to become anything without knowing anybody, by the force of their and the tenacity of their competence and their capabilities, where the nation provides an even playing field for everybody to contribute their own quota to the development of Nigeria and the African continent. That should be the Nigerian dream, which we all should probably pursue. And that might put an end to a lot of the little fracases that we're having amongst ourselves and trying to eat up and destroy ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for this very long session and for staying in tune. I'm beginning to think we may need to repeat it at some stage where we can have another conversation about Nigeria and then take as many of the questions that people want to throw at us as is available. I think the management team will discuss it and see when it's possible to have another edition of this. But I want to thank everybody for listening to me patiently and for your kind words thus far. God bless you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
That was it. And one more thing, Auntie, I think we'd like to follow up with you on, because a few of the things that you mentioned about the town halls, the youth centers for learning, and just really this concept of monitoring state projects is some of the initiatives that we're working on at ALG. And I think we've chatted about really coming together to collaborate on advancing some of these goals. So we'd like to follow up and have a date of when we can have this meeting of the minds to begin to chat how we can work together. We also have Professor Grange mentioned the citizens' responsibility course. You're aware of that as well. That we would like to, we're looking to start the campaign and maybe work with the National Orientation Group, since they already have the infrastructure of delivering this message of what it is to be a Nigerian citizen, and just your responsibility in contributing to the national development and holding our leaders accountable. So there's quite a bit of things, a lot of work to do, and we would engage you behind the scene and actually come up with a few dates of when we can have this meeting of the minds, and then see how we go from there, confer with Mr. President and the board on the next action. So definitely be engaging you. Thank you as always. Thank you for being a leader in this space. Thank you for giving people like me and all the other women something to look forward to and shoulders to stand on as we continue to advocate for that Nigeria that we all deserve. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'm always at your service. A lot of the stuff that we need to do are already happening. So it's just connecting people, really. So I'll be delighted to work with you, Nigerian Network of NGOs, LACSOP, and other structures that are already actually working to get the answers that we want. It's doable. It's not quick fixes. And I think that's some of the things that Nigerians also have to learn. There are no miracles. It's not going to be a miraculous, switching on and off, or light bulb suddenly. It's going to be a grueling long haul, but planning is critical. Alliances are critical. Collaboration is key. And I'm most certainly happy to work with you as we together make Nigeria great again.
Thank you so much. Mr. President, I have just one more announcement on the Feed a Neighbor, Feed a Nation food drive. I want to thank everyone who's contributed their time, their resources to it. We also put a form in the chat. We're looking for volunteers that will be helping with food distribution. So please go ahead and fill that form and get in touch with us. We have some training that would take place before we start our food distribution. So if you're interested, so please go ahead and fill that form. We'd definitely like to engage you. Thank you for all those that have contributed. And if you haven't, there's still opportunity. It's ongoing. There are ways for you to donate. We'll be sending that information out as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, and have a wonderful evening. And God bless you all. Happy Christmas, wonderful New Year, and see you again very soon. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good night.